The truth about yoga, what the gurus don't want you to know. You are probably familiar with the 20 different forms of yoga that are recognized by most people that study and practice yoga on a daily basis. What you may not know, there are some very exciting spin-offs and offshoots of traditional yogic philosophy, techniques and methods that yoga has spawned over the years. Many of them are a bit different from what you may normally associate with yoga. Here is a list of some of the more popular forms practiced in the West today. Ananda Yoga, Anusara Ashtanga, Bikram Yoga, Hatha Integral Yoga, Ishta Iyengar Yoga, Jivamukti Yoga, Kali Tri Yoga, Kripal Kundalini Power Yoga, Restorative Yoga, Sivananda Yoga, Svarupa Yoga, Vini Yoga, Vinyasa White Lotus Yoga, Yin Yoga. We however are going to look at some techniques and methods that are often called Super Yoga. And it might astound you at what people who follow these practices are able to accomplish. Not all of them involve exercises or meditation as you know it. Some of them are not recommended to be practiced without the guidance of an experienced guide or mentor. Become enlightened in only 10 days? It has happened using Vipassana meditation techniques. This ancient form of meditation has been brought to the West, where during a 10-day intensive training program in meditation many practitioners have achieved enlightenment. Whether this is true or not is up to you to decide, but it is not for the faint of heart or those who wouldn't give their all as ull. In the first 3 days, you learn how to focus your mind on your breath. The meditation sessions can last up to 10 hours a day. You then break for food and rest for 4 hours and lectures, then back to the meditation hall. It has also spawned directly or indirectly a whole host of other programs and teaching methods, some of them being Vipassana's 10-day program and technique have been likened to the famous SEALs Hell Week. Except this is for meditation and doesn't require you to swim the Pacific. There is a similar program, which was part of the JEDI project, in which SEALs, Rangers and Green Berets practice similar mind techniques to enhance their effectiveness and add to their already superhuman skill sets. An earlier program called the Delta Project, not to be confused with Delta Force, which used much of the same methods during the Vietnam War to train men who had to go out into the jungles of Southeast Asia to complete their missions and return with vital intel they collected. The Earth First Battalion also embraced these types of mind techniques, some of which figured prominently in the parody movie The Men Who Stare at Goats. You can read about them in the famous First Earth Training Manual. In real life, however, there are those who swear by these techniques as a way to be able to handle stress, depression and enhance creativity for writing, painting and dance. Scientology's founder L. Ron Hubbard was quite familiar with these mind techniques, as he learned about them in his travels and he used them in his writing, to make him one of the most prolific writers of the golden age of pulp magazines and science fiction. Hubbard became, under John W. Campbell's auspices, one of Astounding Analog Science Fiction magazine's first-line writers, along with A. E. Van Vogt and other masters of the genre. John Hughes scooped the world by being first to publicize Dianetics to the science fiction community and world in 1950, which this writer was able to read in its original form. Hubbard taught a westernized version of the techniques Mr. Hubbard created to train superior human beings. Whether you like Scientology or not, their techniques do get results, as many in Hollywood attest. Those who practice the Silva method will find that they look at Vipassana almost identical methods to alter their state of mind and go to profound levels of relaxation to create change and open up psychic channels that most Westerners are unfamiliar with. In education, the photowriting takes the Silva 3-2-1 method to put a person into the photowriting state of mind, and from that achieves fantastic verifiable reading speeds of up to over 25,000 words a minute. Using computer reading techniques, even faster speeds have been reported. If you thought that was interesting, what if you were told you could get the same enlightenment experience, which Vipassana gives you, in only 3 days? If you look at Peter Ralston, martial artist, teacher and writer, he was able to achieve an enlightenment experience that some say resulted in his phenomenal powers in the martial arts, that culminated with him going to Asia and being one of the first non-Asians to win the All-Asia Martial Arts Tournament. In his books, he credits a 3-day intensive as the source of his enlightenment. Intensives are the brainchild of Charles Berner, who almost 50 years ago started the first intensives in California in the San Bernardino Mountains. In these 3-day retreats the ancient who-am I question is examined in a combination side group and individualized training sessions, and the end of which you are better able to understand yourself and where many have transcendental experiences. Back in the 1960 and 70s, California was the heart of the psychedelic world, and philosophies from all over the world were focused there. From this highly energetic mix of charismatic people, many new theories and technologies for change and enlightenment, or super yoga and the human potential movement (HPM), was born. Many of these systems were linked to shamanism, Indian yogic and meditation sciences, such as those of Ramana Maharshi. Jnana Yoga, which Berner adopted and combined with the interpersonal workshop format or retreat format. This same type of format soon spread throughout the New Age movement, and retreats are still being held by many of the groups that formed during this turbulent period of American history. Some of the groups and events that became part of the American psyche were Esalen NLP, Maslow's Peak Experiences, Flow, LSD 25 Experiments. Gene Houston and Robert Masters wrote Mind Games, which was also the basis of a famous song by the Beatles. Transcendental meditation, Chinese philosophy, such as the I Ching, Japan's and Aikido, through the work of Koichi Toi, spread across America. Bruce Lee popularized Kung Fu and the martial arts. David Carradine became famous as the Shaolin monk in Kung Fu. At the same time, the US military took note of HPM, and Jim Channon was sent in to acquire as much information as he could from the various groups, and resulted in the 1st Earth Battalion Manual. http www.seribd.com. 21,926,670 of the 1st Earth Battalion Field Manual, which was to be a possible prototype of the New Age soldier, which today some of its tenets are still practiced by those in the Special Forces community. SFC thus spawned many similar programs under military control. Remote viewing and the SHRI programs most people are familiar. In many instances, the military adopted the civilian version, such as with NLP and S training, where military personnel were enrolled and became instructors in these modalities of super yoga. Colonel John Alexander wrote a book called The Warrior's Edge, which detailed his involvement in one such program called the JEDI Project. The intent was to create super soldiers, who would be superior to normal human beings and yet obedient to military control. Did this work? He is not talking much about it anymore. So, either it was highly successful and is classified. More likely it wasted millions in your hard-earned tax dollars, which is why he is now a civilian lecturing at UFO conventions. However, on occasion this writer has met men in the military who would be perfect prototypes of such graduates from this kind of program. So, who can say for sure? Power breathing. Another form of super yoga is called power breathing. However, forcible breathing techniques are used to induce changes in the mind and body for the health and well-being. The techniques themselves start with what is called the charger, and it used to prepare the body for further activity. http www.bibliotecapleys.net. Sunset Topper 20 HTM. This information is claimed to be from alternate realities and channeled from other beings. This writer is not in a position to verify any of that, as the person has disappeared from the web after a few years of furious writing and teaching on this and other esoteric topics, which might be of interest to readers. Our interest is in super yoga, and breathing seems to be a key to that doorway. Robert Masters and Gene Houston in various books discuss the important ace of breath, breath work and breath control in reaching what they called ASCs, altered states of consciousness, which Richard Bandler induces in his clients seemingly at will. Dr. Masters has since passed on, and both Richard and Gene continue to teach, and Dr. Bandler continues to write a plethora of books on the topic of trance and altered states. Gene Houston has founded various mystery schools based on the ancient Egyptian and Greek models of esoteric learning and teaching. In both of these individuals, work breath is extremely important. Classic books such as Yogi Ramacharaka's William Walter Atkinson book on breathing is available on Amazon, and it is a classic because it works, and anyone who is into breath work should become familiar with it, as it is a good primer on the subject, and even adepts could learn a lot from this 100-year-old book. O Senza of Aikido Morihei Shiba said, "Without breath there is no life for Aikido." He developed special breathing exercises that synchronized body movement with breath power, to make himself an invincible martial artist and teacher of esoteric Shingon Buddhism and the Omoto religion, of which he was a devout follower of its charismatic leader Anisaburo Digachi. Because of his power of breath, Shiba could see the path of bullets that were fired at him during a bandit raid on his group, enabling him to avoid them, while escorting Digachi through China and Mongolia, seeking to found the spiritual world headquarters of Omoto from which to spread peace, love and harmony throughout the world. Just before the outbreak of WW2. Sadly, most of Shiba's students ignored his religion and philosophy of peace, and became generals and officers in the Japanese imperial military, at which point Shiba quietly retired to the countryside until after the war, when he thought it might be an opportune time to try again to spread the message of peace. Which again is a message that is falling on deaf ears in today's world. Most people believe Shiba and his Aikido was the inspiration for the Jedi and the Force of Star Wars. From the art of peace and love to love and Shiba's Aikido found a niche in not only the human performance movement, military super soldiers and the New Age movement as well. However, there is another form of super yoga, which many people still do not understand. Even though there are thousands of books on the subject, there are almost an equally large number of teachers on the subject, and most of them are wrong about what they are teaching in this writer's opinion, and that is Tantric Yoga, which everyone associates with the Kama Sutra. Which, if you actually read the book, is not as racy as everyone makes it out to be. Most of the books today illustrate all the possible sexual congress that is possible between whatever and whoever, etc. Some techniques that are advocated that are virtually physical impossibilities. There are temples that are used to illustrate this belief in India. The truth of the matter is that while Tantric Yoga does in fact use sex, it does not exist for that purpose alone, as many teachers espouse, and many young men rush by the Tantric books, to increase size and endurance, and women by them, to learn all the different position for intercourse. The purpose is to rouse the sleeping serpent energy, and between the man and woman generate this energy together, and through which enlightenment and nirvana may be reached. Here is the kicker that everyone misses. Orgasm is not the goal. Their goal is to control the sexual energy, and redirect it to other purposes. It is said after Nikola Tesla met with Vivekananda in the 1890s, he was able to direct his sexual energies to the service of mankind by inventing the devices that ushered in the electric age. This is mentioned in the book Reality Bending by Amish Shah, where he teaches in addition the untold story of Tesla, but how Amish gazing upon the Sri Yantra allowed him to manifest his desires again and become a multimillionaire. These are only a few of the examples of breath power and super yoga in action. Here are some parting examples for you to ponder. Patrick Flanagan, inventor at 15 and of Pyramid Energy fame and creator of the Neurophone, has the Sri Yantra on his latest version of the device. In his books he credits the Sri Yantra as being a powerful energy device, and he in a dream was given many of his ideas, after meditating on it and in a dream speaking to the creator of the Yantra. Were both of these men linking into the Akashic records? Edgar Cayce, in the transcriptions made while he was in a trance state, that the Akashic records are accessible by anyone who can achieve the correct state of mind through proper breathing and intent. Was this then how Tesla was able to come up with his inventions, or Einstein to develop his famous equation, even though he had no laboratory or facilities except those in his mind? Did they both enter the Great Library and read from the secret books? The 9 unknown men. Some believe that this secret library is a real one. In Edgar Cayce's readings, it is said to be located at the foot of the Sphinx in Egypt. There is another belief that is a secret city under the tallest mountain in the world called Agatha. There is a persistent legend that Emperor Azuka entrusted all the knowledge to the 9 unknown? This legend was taken into popular fiction by Talbot Mundy, who have no doubt heard the legends when and was in India. His fictionalized account is still in print on Amazon. Does this mysterious brotherhood still exist, and by using super yoga are certain individuals able to communicate with them? Famed mathematician Srinivasa Ramanian of India believed they helped him discover some of his many theorems. In Joseph Gurudev's book, Magic Science of the Future, talks about Indian physicists, who also claim to receive knowledge and assistance from the 9. Others believe that through breathing and meditation, a state of resonance occurs and the spirit of Gaia the earth communicates information to shaman in the world. Richard Bandler tells of his happening in one of his stories about a shaman in South America, that does exactly that, and about an American, that asked how it was done was shown, and received a cure for a rash he was suffering from. When asked how the shaman got information on new diseases, they just say they ask and the answer is provided. Such as the case of the Vaimanika Shastra, that was supposedly written in a trance state similar to that of Angura case. This book details flying machines and how to build them. The Chinese government and others are said to be reverse engineering these documents, to build the next generation of stealth and space vehicles. The leader of the Japanese religion Omoto wrote an 81-volume magnum opus for the religion from a trance state called the Rikai Monogatari Tales of the Spirit World. Shiba is said to have been taught the finer points of the Japanese martial arts, while in a trance state by the actual warrior, who used the techniques in the distant past. The question is if this is all true and invalidates much of what we are taught in school about how science and technology came about. The closer you look, the stranger it seems, where the true origins of mankind's advances have come from. Tesla's flashes of knowledge trumping Edison's use of the scientific method, which we are taught in school, as the way new knowledge is discovered. Should we then teach both the scientific method and the special breathing techniques, that seem to be the first stage to entering a state of mind, where this knowledge may be obtained? This could change the course of human history. If you look at what just one Tesla was able to do, what advances could we make if we had 1,000? Super yoga and math and accounting? On the internet of late, there is talk of what is called Vedic mathematics, which is being touted as an alternative to the way we learn mathematics today. This math system is based on ancient Vedic texts that explain a rule-based system instead of the rote system, in which most Western students learn their basic addition and multiplication. A similar system was found by accident during World War II in a German concentration camp, and again we can only surmise it was a combination of pressure and of the constant fear of death that allowed the flash of insight that allowed Jacob Trachtenberg's mathematics system to come about in the first place, and his miraculous escape from German death camps to let his discovery see light of day. In this marvelous system, that is taught in the same fashion as the Vedic math system, a student learns basic multiplication and later division not by memorization but by using simple rules and a two-finger technique that helps keeps place of where the student is. Similar systems are taught to Chinese students to help them get ahead in school. Whether it is Vedic or Trachtenberg based is unknown to this writer, as it was only shown once at a demonstration in Qingdao. A student armed with these systems can approach mathematics with a confidence that is a sight to see, instead of a chore or fear of failure. Mathematics becomes a fun game, something to play with and an enjoyable recreation. If this were done in the US, the scores for math, where we rank dismally as compared to the rest of the world, would improve dramatically. Students who are considered slow can pick up the Vedic math system or Trachtenberg almost overnight, and IQ testing is shown to rise. This confidence and ability would make anyone smarter and more able to deal with our increasingly complex world. Other systems based on these systems are now out in book form, and speed math techniques are being taught in seminars across the country. Especially this is true around final exam time at colleges, where students are hoping to squeeze a few more points out. They are also used on the Saturday exams, as well by college hopefuls, who want to go to the better schools. Most are unaware of the ancient lineage of the techniques that help them get into college. Why they are not taught in public schools is a mystery, that has yet to be solved. May techniques that are in use in other countries, that derive from ancient Indian manuscripts teach about concentration, mathematical, memory and reading skills. Super Yoga breathing and relaxation techniques are taught to students in Japan, India and China today. Yet in America, the word speed reading is not mentioned, and over 50% of the people in Detroit are considered functionally illiterate. No wonder homeschooling has embraced theses techniques, to compensate for the lack of the basic skill, to be able to get a job in this ever more competitive world economy. Spin up your chakras. A final use for Super Yoga is the activation of the various energy centers of the body that are called chakras. Many of the yoga systems teach about the chakras, but few go beyond that in a few basic exercises. But if you read the ancient yogi texts, the physical exercises alone are useless, unless coupled with the generation of energy, which the chakras act as many dynamos and energy storage and transfer points. Fortunately, in America, they are teachers, practitioners and researchers that do go into detail, do body work and energy balancing as well. Nishino breathing makes use of these energy setters, and moves the energy about. Qigong training is becoming more pervasive, and when combined with Tai Chi physical exercises makes an unbeatable combination. The Alexander technique ever though doesn't address energy directly, and only promotes proper alignment of the body and the up. This alignment allows the natural flow of energy, which is an indirect method to achieve proper energy flow. Moshe Feldenkrais and his system of proper movement and alignment, as well as release of improperly aligned muscles, again allows for proper energy flow. Robert Master developed a system, where by use of words you could direct the body and its energies, called Neurospeak. And the Master's technique? Both address chakras and energy flow. Mantak Chia, prolific author, who runs many seminars in Thailand and America, with an entire system of Taoist exercises, unlock and charge the various energy centers. Sheikh Degawan still teaches and lectures, and her book on visualization is considered a classic. Ravi Shankar's music resonates and energizes the energy centers. Alfred Tumidus, who used Gregorian chants and violin music to charge your energy system through the chakras. Stephen Halperin, who creates specific music to energize the chakras. Chokaksui with his pranic healing. Deva Premal and Maitan, who sings your chakras into harmony. Enya, whose Celtic singing style, and will start your energy centers spinning. The Silva techniques directly address energy and chakras and how to have better health, and develop your abilities to their fullest. Scientology addresses energy and the evolution of man, into what may become the man-woman of the future. The Rosicrucian order, who still teach one of the most powerful systems of energy and personal development. Fokin Lee, alchemist and believed to be one of the few living men in this century to have performed the transformation to higher planes using the Philosopher's Stone. What all of these people and systems have in common is that they all use breathing, specialized exercises and in some cases voice, sound and music to raise the consciousness of the individual to a higher plane of existence, and this is the aim of all systems of evolution, such why the term Super Yoga can be applied to all of them. Make a difference. In this article we have attempted to show some of the many varied systems that make up Super Yoga, from its ancient roots in the Far East to California of the 60s and 70s, and tracing it to now, where it is still being used and is evolving with our society. It doesn't get the publicity as our society looks at anything, that doesn't conform to the currently accepted cultural and political climes prevailing today. Where being different brands you an outcast in some circles, and where the media is more interested in the disaster, murder or other bad news to build ratings and get the viewers' attention. People today are different, more sophisticated, and yet many